So we will be simulating the earthquake 8.7, 7.1 magnitude earthquake. Now I would like 7.1 magnitude earthquake. Now the idea is the Shillong earthquake, which is one of the most well-documented earthquake event in the world, I would say. You know, that magnitude. During that period of time, in the context of Nagaland, our population is very few. We do not have the type of building that we have today. But if that similar event happened today, what will be the extent of damage? The extent of casualties to life and properties. So that's how we are trying to look at it. The importance of simulating this event is, earthquake is one that we cannot really predict till to this very day. And it is important that when earthquake hits, I think on 11 September 2023 this year, Morocco has been badly affected by earthquake. Now, looking at those pictures and videos which was captured during the event, unfortunately, if such event happens here in the context of Kohima, we would really imagine how and what will be the chaos that we will be facing. So those are the preparatory activities that we are simulating through this NAPEX. I would like to also request our Major General Mahal, the lead resource person for NAPEX 2023, to also say on how we are going to simulate the earthquake and what will be the sequence of events that is going to unfold from today, tomorrow, and on the 2nd. So.
Thank you. Well, this year's NAPEX is based on an earthquake scenario, as mentioned by Mr. Johnny. And in that context, we must realize that earthquakes cannot be predicted. And therefore, the only way to reduce losses and damage is by preparedness. And that is the importance of this NAPEX. We are simulating an earthquake which is not taking place close to Shillong and Guwahati, as was in 1897. It can well take place much closer home, though at a lesser intensity. But as Morocco example has shown you, even an earthquake of 6.9 M can cause havoc. For this NAPEX, today we are conducting a tabletop exercise in which I will be painting various scenarios that can arise during an earthquake, and we will be asking the various stakeholders at the state and district level to respond to these scenarios. How will they act? And this is to prepare them for the actual event, and also to prepare them for the mock exercise that is going to take place on the 2nd. After today's exercise, we hope to cement our coordination between various agencies. We hope to be very clear amongst the various stakeholders as to what their responsibility is. And also, if there are any gaps, we have tomorrow to prepare and address those gaps. The beauty of this NAPEX and this event is that it's a multi-stakeholder event which is adopting an all of the government and all of the society approach which is essential if we have to fight a major disaster successfully. So to that extent, it's not only the government of Nagaland, but it's the central agencies like the armed forces, the Central Armed Police Forces, National Center of Seismology, NEST, which is based in Johor. All these organizations are also participating both in the tabletop exercise as also in the mock exercise on the 2nd. On the 2nd, we will start off at 9 o'clock by simulating an earthquake, and thereafter we will progress the event in a manner in which actually the action should unfold in fighting the impact of an earthquake in an effective manner. So what is the role of various agencies? How do they get mobilized? How do the various disaster response elements come into action, starting from community response, thereafter by the SDRF, NDRF, the other uniformed forces, the medical aspects, the aspects of damage to factories and maybe to a gas storage site or the IOCL, fires, landslides, which are all the secondary impacts of an earthquake. All these will be simulated and we will be acting. At the end of this exercise, the aim is to further improve our interagency coordination, our processes, and the manner in which we respond to a disaster in a very effective manner and have clarity amongst the stakeholders on their various roles. Thank you.
This press conference is as a precursor to the Nagaland Emergency Preparedness Exercise, a statewide mega mock exercise that we are going to conduct on the 2nd of November. This is the 6th NAPEX that NSDMA, along with the DDMAs, all the line departments, government missionaries, and the local communities, NGOs. This is the 6th time that we are organizing. This year, we have the lead resource person in the person of Major General Bhal, who has come from the NDMA to coordinate and supervise the entire statewide mock exercise. This year we will be simulating the event of earthquake. And we are looking at 16 districts participating in it. Therefore, almost all the government machineries, all the line departments at the state level and the district level will be participating in it. We will be also being the community first responder, we call it, and in the national term it is called Atamitra, the community volunteers whom we have trained them for the disaster search and rescue operations. They will be also participating in it. We also have school children who will be participating in it. Now whenever we bring the school children, NSDMA has an objective that is involving the school is we are creating safer generation next. That is our tagline and the motto that we always carry whenever we go for a school program. Nagaland is the only state who have notified the village disaster management authorities. Some of the villages have yet to constitute. We are in the process because with the change of the village council, there is transition period there. Those old ones have dissolved and the new ones formation is still in the process again. So the Nagaland Emergency Preparedness Exercise involves almost everyone in the state. Here on the briefing we have General S. Bhal from NDMA. We have our Commissioner and Secretary in NSDMA. We also have the representative of the District Disaster Management Authorities, the DC Kohima. We also have the convener interagency group, which is the NGO group, which we are trying to strengthen the local NGOs in the context of responding to disaster management. So people who are in the ties are represented from different agencies. As Sir was saying, this is going to be a multi-response preparedness event.
Sir, I have one question. The Chief Secretary had pointed out a very good point while delivering his speech, which he mentioned about setting up of field hospitals in case of any major disaster, not just here in Kohima, Dimapur, the capital, but in the remote areas. So is the NSDMA prepared with such equipments for field hospital in case if there is any major disaster that takes place and that affects even in the remote areas of our state?
Thank you. That's a very relevant question. To go back 2 years from now, or rather almost 3 years. During the COVID pandemic, our department was entrusted with such a task of bringing up a hospital near the referral hospital with the equipment for near the referral hospital Dimapur. And as rightly pointed out by Chief Secretary, the mobile unit of the hospital will be examining it. Thank you.
What sir was saying is we have the acute care center at the referral hospital, which was built in 90 days. Yes, we are looking at now inflatable tent house that is on the way, which is coming in, and we are also looking at prefab hospital structures. We would only be able to provide the prefab structure, inflatable structure, but the equipments and other human resources will have to be sourced in from the Department of Health and Family Welfare. Yes, we are already in the process of working on that, so we should be having prefab, foldable and inflatable hospital structures. Thank you for the question.
You have been conducting this exercise for the last 6 years, 7 years now. So how well prepared is the state in case it really strikes such disasters?
Now, as General Hall was saying, how strong, how prepared we are, we will not be able to really, face the challenges or the fury of the nature. Well, every year, this NAPEX has been a lesson for us. It's a new feather added to our wings. Last year, when we are looking at it, the BSF team were there trying to establish a communication network, and we could not establish. So, like BSF has a Sataka, they have a very good presence. So we are not even able to, establish immediately after the event how to establish the network. Now we hope that this year, the lessons learned from here, we are just talking with our Sir DIG from the Assam Rifle, that we will have to build our communication network. Of course, it's not going to sync to the disaster management network, or nor to the police network, but if you have the paramilitary network established from our control room, then that could be one of the channels for us. So those are the lessons that we learned every year, and we are refining every year in terms of our, in terms of equipping or in terms of filling up the gaps. But to say that we are fully prepared to face any event of disasters may not be a very definite scientific answer to be given, because the fury of nature can never be measured by human minds.
Especially considering Kohima, the kind of constructions that are coming up, and the road-wise, the area-wise, the passages seems to be too small. And if such disaster falls, and for example, even if a fire breaks out, we see that the fire tenders are unable to reach on time also. So how do you think you can prepare yourself to face if it strikes in Kohima, especially, and how dangerous it is? And are you planning for any certain rules in construction under disaster?
Now, the government of Nagaland, the governor has already consented, and the fire safety bills is already in place. Now, it is the role and responsibilities of all the public in Nagaland to comply to that fire safety. It's not for the gain of the Department of Fire and Emergency Services, but it's for our safety. So therefore, as part of that Fire Safety Act, which has already been in place, now each one of us, whoever has built the house, will have to comply to fire safety norms. That's one. And I think it is high time that, especially in the context of Kohima, we need to learn the lessons. There has been many big fire events in the recent times, and that is an eye-opener for us to be complying to the fire safety norms and rules that has been notified by the government. Now, in the context of the structure, the Department of Urban Development, Municipal Affairs, is in charge of bringing out new Nagaland building bylaws. That is in the process of approving it, and once that new building bylaws is in place, the safety structural safety will be also in place. But for the old structures, now how do we do? Maybe for the old structures, some retrofitting technologies may have to rock in, and in the context of narrow lane or narrow road, which is existing here in Kohima, we will have to find a suitable means of bringing in maybe not a bigger truck, but maybe a smaller truck, maybe customized. I'm sure the Department of Fire and Emergency Services is really looking into that capabilities to respond to the fire safety or emergencies in the context of the Kohima, especially with the existing narrow lane. Yes.
There's a very important issue that comes up here, which I will request the media to highlight. Responsibility of fighting a disaster is not that of the government alone. It is equally your and mine responsibility as a citizen. Therefore, as a citizen, firstly, I should be aware as to what I need to do to save myself and my family immediately in case of a disaster striking. Most of us are not aware. We always think that disaster will hit someone else, not us. So that mentality has to change. Secondly, if I know I am living in an earthquake-prone area, it is equally my responsibility to ensure that when I construct a house, it is earthquake-proof. It is my responsibility to ensure that I follow the rules and guidelines regarding development, regarding not encroaching in areas which are susceptible to flooding, etc., which is happening. And it is equally my responsibility to ensure that I follow the guidelines which have been provided by the government. So the problem about in disaster management is not only making rules, it is also in following these rules and in implementing them. That is where we as responsible citizens have a very important role to play.
So once again, thank you, our press friends. As we have always been in touch, please let me carry this safety message across the state. Thank you very much, and you have a very good day after that.